Shalom. I'd like to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Kakadash, the Mahan set apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and salutations to the whole full life scattered abroad at the four corners of the earth. So I believe that I'm going to title this video, Mistakes Are Lessons. Life is a paradigm of good choices and bad choices. Whether those good choices or bad choices be minuscule or immense, we as Israelites just have to hope and pray that the bad choices or the mistakes that we make don't weigh us down. And most importantly, we have to hope that we gain something from the mistakes that we make, because that's really what it's about, learning from your mistakes. Anything else is insanity. You can't just keep going about life in this world, just making the same mistakes over and over again. And so oftentimes we may not be sure which path we should take in life, what decision we should make. A decision that you may make at a particular moment may seem as though it's the right way to go, but then you wound up realizing that it was the wrong way to go. And then you may feel bad at yourself or all stressed out. But the Most High has a purpose for us. An important thing to understand is that the Most High is the one who's in control. He directs our steps. Really, there is no such thing as free will. So the choice that you could make could be a choice that you wound up learning from. Whether it be good or whether it be bad. And so in this video, I'm going to highlight how a prominent figure in the Bible, whose name is King Solomon, even he was known for his wisdom, but wound up making mistakes. So this is Proverbs 16:9. A man's heart devises his way, but the Lord directs his steps. So it's the Most High who's in control. It's the Most High who directs your steps. Remember, there's really no such thing as free will. So the choice that you make really is the choice that the Most High made you make. So I mentioned earlier how I was going to dive into the story of King Solomon and how he was a wise man and how even he went off and made mistakes. So this is the book of 1 Kings chapter 10, verse 1. And when the queen of Sheba heard the fame of Solomon concerning the name of the Lord, she came to prove him with hard questions. And she came to Jerusalem with a very great train, with camels that bear spices, and very much gold, and precious stones. And when she was come to Solomon, she communed with him of all that was in her heart. And Solomon told her all her questions. There was not anything hid from the king, which he told her not. And when the queen of Sheba had seen all Solomon's wisdom, and the house that he had built, and the meat of his table, and the sitting of his servants, and the attendance of his ministers, and their apparel, and his cupbearers, and his accent by which he went up unto the house of the Lord, there was no more spirit in her. And she said to the king, it was a true report that I heard in mine own land of thy acts and of thy wisdom. Howbeit I believed not the words until I came, and mine eyes had seen it, and behold, the half was not told to me. Thy wisdom and prosperity exceedeth the fame which I heard. So there you go. King Solomon was known as a wise man. He was renowned for that. And so, as we read on to the next chapter, you're going to see how King Solomon, being the wise man that he is, he ended up making a mistake. So this is 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 1. But King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonites, and Hittites. So I'm going to jump down to verse 3. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. So King Solomon had all these women in his life, and the mistake that he made was going off worshiping their other gods, which is ironic considering how wise of a man he is. But remember, Proverbs 16:9, a man's heart devises his way, but the Lord directs his steps. So you may have the illusion in your mind that you're in control of your actions and what you're doing, but really you don't. There's no free will. It's the Most High who directs your steps. So this is verse 4. It came to pass that when Solomon was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, and was as was the heart of David his father. So King Solomon made the mistakes, and even his father made mistakes. And so really the point is, you really can't believe that you're in control of your destiny, because it's the Most High who has it all planned out for you. You know, it's ultimately his purpose. And remember, King Solomon, he was a wise man, but ironically, he went off and worshiped other gods and trespassed against the Most High. You know, he made mistakes. And so, one thing you have to understand is that there's always an anti to everything. There's always a duality. Just as there's up, there's down, there's left, there's right, there's good, there's evil. And you could even remember back to the old story with Adam and Eve and the serpent in the garden. At that point in time, there was no sin until the serpent beguiled Eve in the garden. And then from there, that's when we all sinned. That's when we all died. And so that's the duality. We got to see both sides of the spectrum, the good and then the bad. So as we go through life in this world, there's going to be decisions that we make that aren't necessarily good or deemed as good. You understand? We're going to go through life making mistakes. And, you know, we're not perfect. The Most High had it set up to where we wouldn't be perfect. You know, this was all his plan, his elaborate plan, so that we can get to see both sides of the spectrum, remember? So we're not going to be perfect until the kingdom. And another thing that you have to take into account is how we're in captivity. So a lot of the circumstances that we're up against, it's just something that we have to deal with, because this is our punishment. You understand? So the things that you go through in life, you know, it may seem all stressful. You know, you might have to make a decision. You know, you feel like your back's up against the wall, and you just hope that you wound up making the right decision. And it turns out that you know you may have made the wrong decision, or sometimes the wrong decision is the right decision, because you know things can play out to where it works out good for you in the end. But remember, it's the Most High who directs your steps no matter what. So back to the story with King Solomon. 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 4. For it came to pass when Solomon was old that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, as was the heart of David his father. For Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, and after Milcom and abomination of the Amorites. And Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord, and went not fully after the Lord, as did David his father. When then did Solomon build an high place for Cheshmosh, the abomination of Moab, and the hill that is before Jerusalem, and from Molech, and the abomination of the children of Ammon, and likewise did he for all his strange wives, which burnt incense and sacrificed unto their gods. And the Lord was angry with Solomon, because his heart was turned from the Lord God of Israel, which had appeared unto him twice, and had commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other gods, but he kept not that which the Lord commanded. So ultimately, it was the Most High who made King Solomon go off. You understand? Remember, free will, it's all an illusion. You know, the Most High is the one who's in control. And the lesson from this is that there's good choices and there's bad choices. And ultimately, we got to see both sides of the spectrum, you know, good and evil. There's always that duality, remember. But we ain't perfect, man. And that's one of our hopes, to be perfect. You know, the Apostle Paul said that we shall be changed in a moment of a twinkling of an eye. So we're not gonna get about these circumstances that we're in. You know, we're not gonna be removed from these fleshly bodies until it's really time, until that time comes. You know, so this story with King Solomon, you know, it really highlights how even a wise man could go off and make mistakes. So, you know, as you go through life, you make mistakes and you may be angry and upset with yourself. And you're like, man, yo, how come I didn't know any better? You know, how come I didn't see it that way initially? Why did I have to go through the mistake to see it the way that I'm supposed to see it? You understand? Well, ultimately, that's the Most High's will. The Most High had it set up that way. He directed your steps. So, anyway, let me continue reading. Uh, verse 10. You read verse 10. And I commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other gods, but he kept not that which the Lord commanded. Wherefore the Lord said unto Solomon, for as much as this is done of thee, and thou hast kept my covenant and my statutes which I have commanded thee, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee, and will give it to thy servant. So things play out the way that they do because the Most High is in control. So that's the end of this video. I hope y'all found this video edifying. Shalom.